it up on the record, don't they? That's what I do, to be honest. I register for stuff and then I watch it at my own leisure.
So morning, everybody. We'd just like to welcome you to part 2 of our VA Business Growth Masterclass. It's great to welcome you back, and to those of you who have just joined us, welcome. So just a few introductions. Again, if you weren't with us the other day, my name's Dan, and we've also got Dawn. I don't think that's the right way. And we've also got Jamie. Collectively, we represent Incentive UK, and we've been running this masterclass for you for free to try and help grow and develop your business. And we hope that the content that you saw the other day really helped you along your journey. So part 2 today, we've got some exciting catch-ups with you, and also another task to set for you for next week, or over the weekend if you're ambitious. So without further, you might hear that my voice is cracking, so it's finally breaking at the age of 35, so just bear with me. So who would like to go, Dawn or Jamie?
I think Jamie's kicking off, aren't you? You're recapping. Yeah.
So on Tuesday, we gave you everything that you needed to do, really. So just for anyone's benefit that's watching this that maybe hasn't seen the first video, we asked you to pick one thing that you're going to focus on for a week, just because it's easier to promote one thing on social media and when you're meeting people and chatting with them. And then it makes life easier for people when they're thinking about referring you as well. So if you say, like, I do 20 things and I can work with anybody, nobody springs to mind. If you say I'm a specialist VA that just deals with diary management or with CRM systems, then when someone's chatting with somebody and they mention one of those words, that person instantly springs to mind. That's why we ask people to focus on one thing. So the more niche that you can be, just for the purpose of doing the task, the more likely you are to get referrals for that. Then we took you through working on your you know how phrase, which is like our version of a killer elevator pitch. And that starts with you know how. So if you haven't done that, go through the recording again, work through the workbook, and then email Dawn, like it says on the video, and then she will give you feedback on your you know how phrase. And you can use that anywhere. You can use that on social media. You can use it when you go networking. You use it on the phone when somebody asks you, what is it you do? And then that's where you would use your you know how phrase. And it's a conversation starter. So it's not supposed to go into detail about what you do. It's supposed to be quite vague but intriguing, so that somebody then says, how do you do that? So that's the purpose of that. Right, and I'm going off memory. I should have printed the workbook out. So then we talked you through a process called how are you calls. It's dead simple. You ring somebody up and you ask them, how are you? No agenda other than that. It may well lead on to a business conversation where somebody might say, do you know what, I've been meaning to call you for a while. Or they might ask you, what is it that you're doing right now? That's the opportunity for you to use your you know how phrase, and you strike up a conversation either on the call or in the days or weeks after. People generally end up getting referrals from that, or business directly from the person you call. So you need to be a bit more strategic with the people that you call. You don't just call your mum for a chat and say, how are you? Or your nan or your kids. It's got to be someone that's in business or that knows people that could refer you. So think about the people that you call. Then we talked you through how we recommend people make best use of their time with one-to-ones, which we call business development meetings. Just by changing it to business development meeting changes the way that people think about these, because we have one-to-ones all the time and they end up just being quite often a social thing where you just have a coffee and a catch up. So if you call it a business development meeting and set an agenda and then speak to the other person to tell them exactly the same thing, it just changes the flow of the meeting completely. Set some actions at the end of it for what you're both going to do, and then a date and a time that you're going to meet again to follow up on that. And it becomes very productive, and you'd be surprised at the results that you'll get from that. You can do that over and over and over again, not just for the purpose of this week, but it's something that you can use forever. We had somebody that took that and used it for a few months. The week that she did it, she was she a graphic designer, Dawn? Graphic designer, freelancer, just recently set up in business. She got £1,500 worth of business the week that she did it, and then a further £5,000 worth of business in the next 4 or 5 months. So this stuff really works. And that's just from our free stuff, let alone coming and doing our really good stuff, which people pay for. And then today, Dawn's just going to, I want to say pick on you, ask you for some feedback and how you've used some stuff this week. So Dawn.
I am, yeah. So as Jamie's just like kind of recap there, if you haven't watched the recording from earlier, I'd encourage you to go back and watch it to kind of get the in-depth on those tasks. And they're all so tiny. You know, Jamie always says they're easy to do and therefore they're easy not to do as well. It's really easy to think, well, how is just focusing on one thing or using this you know how phrase going to help me, but we see the results for people time and time again. The focusing on one thing is huge for us. You know, it's what we do as well. We'll only ever be pushing towards one thing at a time, and that's with our social media and any marketing that we do. Now you might decide to, for instance, if you're on LinkedIn, focus your efforts towards one of your products, or well, for you guys it's services really, isn't it? So Catherine, do you mind if I spotlight you? That's the word I prefer to use. Spotlight Catherine.
Hello.
So Catherine was the first person to email me after was it Monday? Tuesday? Whatever day it was. I don't know what day. Well, I know it's Friday today. That's all I need to know. And Catherine, you sent me a lovely email, and you've done a lot of work already, and I think it was only about 20 minutes after we'd finished, so I love an action taker, so gold star to you. And you said to me, so I've got a few core offerings, so we'll say that's your services, but you'd kind of focused on 3 of them and given me really good you know how phrases for all of them. And if I remember correctly, I said, great, but I would just focus on this one because that's the one I thought that was going to bring you the most results. And the reason we do that is it's just as clever as we may be and as multitasking as we are, us ladies, our brains cannot cope with lists of stuff. So when there's people out there and they come across your profile or they come across you networking and you list out all the things that you can do, our brain's just gone, well, it's too much, can't cope with it. Whereas when we niche in, you know, it's great. So have you used any of those you know how phrases this week at all?
I've only used the one that you sent back, because I only sent you 3 to see if I was on the right lines, because as time goes on, you know, for now I'm going to focus on one of my services, and then maybe in 3 or 4 months I'll then switch and focus on another service. So that's why I sent you 3, was to make sure in my head that I was on the right lines. So I've used the one that you recommended to start with, which I agree with you. I think it is a good way to start. And I've got a client signed up this week from a conversation, which was from a call. So I've done 2 of the actions, but I haven't posted it on social media yet because I'm actually on with a massive project for a client and the deadline's next Friday. So at the moment, I'm at my laptop 7 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night. But once that's gone, because I want to send it in early as well. I want to beat the deadline so that they're really impressed. It's a new client. But once that's gone, I will be using that method on LinkedIn, because normally I'm really active on LinkedIn.
Right.
I've had a problem with my eye where I've not been able to see. So I've not been active for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
So when I do, I will be using that sort of thing.
Yeah, great. I mean, LinkedIn, you're welcome, and that's great to know. And it's always a bit of a gamble because I just spotlighted you because you emailed me first. So, you know, I'm absolutely thrilled that you've got a result from that. LinkedIn, I would imagine for you ladies, is going to be huge. And if I can just give you a couple of pointers, I think I've connected with most of you that I could find. If I haven't, then please feel free to connect with us. But when you're putting in your headline, you know, you haven't got a great deal of space in there. You can get more by doing it on an iPad or is it any Apple device, Jamie? Can you do it?
I just think not a desktop.
Yeah. So if you use the app, then it gives you more characters.
Use your phone, you get more characters.
So you get more characters. So there's a little hack.
It is only Apple. I don't think you do on Android.
Oh. Borrow somebody's Apple device and log in and change it on there.
Androids are always left behind. Honestly, these two are iPhone people. So I'm Android.
I'm Android. I won't touch Apple products.
But I would just with that as well, Dawn, if you go onto the PA Forum YouTube channel, so our YouTube channel for PA Forum, you will see an hour LinkedIn Masterclass with Dawn Adlam, who is awesome, about how to build your brand and build your profile on LinkedIn, and that's free for you all. So if you do go onto our YouTube channel, you'll also see that session you can access for free as well. Yeah,
we love LinkedIn, and I would imagine that for you guys, you know, it would be a great way of connecting with people for sure. But I would encourage you to think, when you're doing that headline, to only focus on a particular aspect of your business. And like Catherine said, it's not, you know, it's not going to be stamped on your head in stone. You can change it at any point. No one's going to come along and, you know, I'm the service police. Last week you said you were doing this, now you say you're doing that. That's fine. But it just means that if you've got a focus, maybe for a month at a time, it may be that you think then, well, actually, I really like that. It's worked for me. And so I'm just going to niche into that. There's so many VAs, the more niche that you can be, the better. You know, we talked on Tuesday about if you've got experience in a particular industry, to maybe focusing on those people. You know, if you've got digital experience, maybe focus on helping people whose businesses are online. Anything that you can make yourself stand out rather than just be a generic VA that's doing all of the services is going to really, really help you. And then, like Catherine said there, so she combined the core with the you know how phrase, so double bubble there and got the result, which is great. Yeah. And you know, you can use it in your social media posts. You could use it. I saw someone who's been in our challenge this week, not a VA, she's changed her headline on LinkedIn to her you know how phrase. She's an advisor for the FSB, Federation of Small Businesses, and so she said, you know, she's used a you know how phrase there. So there's lots and lots of places that you can use it. So you know, I would encourage you with just these 4 things that we gave you. Just rinse and repeat is one of my favorite phrases. I'm all about saving time. You know, just do it again, just do it again, just do it again. Don't stop. You know, as business owners, we all do that thing. Oh, remember when I used to do that thing that was really good and it really worked for me? Why have I stopped doing that? Oh yeah, maybe we should start again. And just because you need you know, imagine there's somebody following you around on your shoulder with a camera most of the time. If I do that in a day, if I've got loads to do, I imagine that I'm on TV. I imagine that quite often, actually. I think I'm Holly Willoughby in Waiting, and I imagine I've got a camera crew following me around. What would I do? You know, would I kind of get lost looking at baby goats on YouTube, or would I be cracking on with what I've got to do? So yeah, there's one of my little tips there. Imagine you've got a camera crew following you around. Just get a lot more done in a day, I promise you. Okay, who else was on Tuesday and has implemented some of the stuff and wants to share something with us? It can be a win, it can be something just that you've actually done it. Just let us know what you've done with the stuff from Tuesday. I'm just looking. Angela, Paddy, you were on. I couldn't see everyone.
I'll happily share.
Oh, lovely. Thanks, Emily.
That's all right. So I have booked in 2 business development meetings, which I would have previously called one-to-ones, but I've booked in 2 business development meetings off the back of a networking virtual breakfast that I was on this morning, which is really good. And I have done a how are you call. In my previous job, I did quite a lot of how are you calls, but it was a good reminder to actually ring with no agenda. Because quite often in my old job, I'd ring with a how are you, but I'd have an agenda. So I just went in with a how are you, haven't spoken to you for ages, and actually it could potentially lead to me having 2 new clients. Wow. So that's been really good.
Yeah. So just remind me, so you've got those 2 BDMs booked. Did I talk about the structure of a business development meeting on Tuesday at all? Did I cover that off?
You mentioned about having an agenda, Dawn, so you made a purpose to the meeting.
Okay, so let me just give you a really brief thing here. So I love an acronym. I've been around police officers a little bit, shall we say, so I do love a good acronym, and this is RISE squared. And so on Tuesday I talked about having an agenda and an outcome for your meetings, and this is kind of the acronym that we use with our clients for their business development meetings. So the R stands for relationship. So your first few meetings are always going to be about building the relationship. Depending on what kind of person you are and what kind of person they are, that could be anything from 1 to 5 or 6. I would suggest if you don't feel you've got a relationship by 5 or 6 meetings, they go in the DTM pile, as I call it, the dead to me. We don't want to deal with those people. We want to deal with people that we like, that are like us, that we're not going to be like, oh no, Dan's on the phone. What does he want?
Oh, thanks.
we want people who we go, oh, Paddy's on the phone. Let me see what she wants. This is going to be a good phone call. So, you know, if you've not built a relationship after 5 or 6, bin it, go on, find somebody else. That relationship building can take many forms. You know, we are kind of let out a little bit now, but you know, if your thing is wine, go and have a wine in a bar somewhere, if it's coffee, or if you want to keep your meetings online, but just really get to know the person, because the more you can deal with like-minded people, the better your business will be, the more joy you'll feel in your business, and therefore, you know, the more time and effort that you'll want to put into it. So that's your relationship building. After that, don't keep having meetings that are building your relationship. Do things to build your relationship, but when you're having these actual, right, this is my business development, you want to move on to the I in the RISE acronym, which stands for identify. So what you're going to do there is we're going to sit down. So it'd be, right, Emily, we're having this business development meeting. What we're going to do is we're going to identify 10 potential clients for each other. How you do that, there's different ways. I'll just literally get my phone out and start at A and start going through them, and I'll go like, oh, right, Andy, he's a plumber. Would he be a potential good client for you? You know, he's really busy. He doesn't get any of his admin done. Actually, yeah, he's probably a great client. Right, put him on the pile and just go through until you get to the agreed amount. When you've done that, you want the S, which is strategize. And that's going to be the two of you working out how you want to be introduced to the other person. So I always use my dad as an example here. Dan's met my dad. He's an amazing man, but he's very, very direct. I wonder where I get it from. And when I recommend people to him, when people go into a meeting with him, he doesn't want flannel. He doesn't want, oh, what's the weather like, Mike? He doesn't want that whole rapport building thing. He just wants to know, what have you got? How much is it going to cost him? And when can he get it done by? And that's it. The most you'll ever get out of him is if the Wolves did well the night before, that would, you know, stand you in good stead. But other than that, he doesn't want all the waffle. So when I prepare people to go into that meeting, I tell them, please don't go in and do the thing that you've been taught to do and waffle and do all that stuff, because he'll just be like, you know, he'll be tapping his fingers and looking at his watch. And then when you've told him what you want, he will come back to you very quickly. He's not a ditherer. He's just, you know, within 2 days of going, yes, I want it. No, I don't. If he wants it, you better be on the price that you told him. And also you better deliver it in the time that you told him you'd deliver it, or else, you know, my neck's going to be on the line because I've put you in there. So when you're strategizing with people, think about the kinds of people that you're interconnecting and how they might like to be introduced. Does it need a formal letter? Does it need an email between you? Would a text be good enough? Would it be a meeting between the three of you where, let's say, Paddy's introducing me to Michelle, so Paddy comes to the meeting as well, introduces both of us, and then goes off, so we've had a nice soft introduction. So work out the best way to introduce people. And then you're going away for the E. The first E is to execute, so you're going to actually go and do what you said you were going to do. And then you're going to come back for a follow-up meeting for the second E, which is evaluate. So you can work out how it's gone. Does it need tweaking? You know, have the people taken the calls, taken the meetings? And then guess what? Rinse and repeat, start all over again, identify some new people, and just keep going through. You need to, I think I said this yesterday, you need to grab these meetings by the scruff of the neck, because you've got now more information than 99% of the people out there. So instead of just having shoot the breeze meetings where nothing really gets done, you know, once you've got a relationship, say to people, you know, right, Jules, I think we could really help each other. Let's sit down, and in our next meeting, let's start identifying who it is that we can help each other with. Because I am one, I can say this, as women, we tend to hover in the relationship part quite a lot, because that's what we're really good at. We're great at building relationships. We're not so great at going, well, I need to build my business now, so can we actually move it on to more of a business footing? So, you know, by having the RISE squared formula for your meetings, you can decide, okay, I'm going into this meeting, is it still relationship building, or should I by now be trying to, you know, build some business with this person. Okay, and for me, that's how you're going to get the most out of your one-to-ones, because otherwise the time just adds up. You know, if you look back, if you've been networking and doing one-to-ones, have a look how much time you've spent. Zoom for me has been the greatest thing ever, because it's removed traveling time, it's removed parking time and all of that kind of thing. So at least the time is focused on actually interacting with the other person. But it can also be the biggest waste of time. We started working with a client in January who last year had 97 one-to-ones in the year. Now, it actually horrifies me when I think about it. You know, that's probably not far off what some prolific networkers do. So if you think about 97 hours as a minimum, because there would have been hour meetings, probably an hour's travel either side. So, you know, approaching 200 hours. And when we pointed out to, you know, what could you have done with that 200 hours if you'd had it as business development, it's frightening, but we don't realise because we're not focused on it enough. So really, you know, these 4 things that we've given you, if you just implement those into your business, I know that you will definitely see a difference. That was a lot of talk. I feel like I need a drink, and all I've got, can I just share with you, all I've got is a vegan protein shake that tastes crap. Disgusting. Right, I had the chocolate flavour because I thought, ooh, chocolate, you know, I like a bit of chocolate. If I've got to be on a diet, then I need a chocolate flavour.
That's some gin.
This morning. Yeah, I've had this on the go for 45 minutes now. That's how long it's, I'm like that.
Add some gin, it'd be all right.
Oh, that would be great, wouldn't it? I feel like I'm on a bush tucker trial. That's what it's like. It's like, so yeah, I just finished that bit now. It would probably splodge over my face. So Jamie, you've got another task for the ladies, I believe.
Yeah, so this is an easy one today to end the week in. So one of the things that people forget about sometimes with referrals is that you need to give in order to receive. Most people get really frustrated that they're not getting enough referrals. When we speak to them, we ask them, how many referrals do you actually pass? Like, well, none, because I'm not getting any. It doesn't quite work like that. So you've got to give things in order to receive. But this is an easy one. So we're not asking you to pass referrals today. This is about writing some recommendations for people. So there's different ways that you can do it. So there's no speaking involved. There's no picking up the phone other than to type on it. So what could you do? You could write somebody a Facebook recommendation if they've got a Facebook page. You could write a LinkedIn endorsement recommendation, or you could just write a post on, you know, whatever social media platform that person uses, shouting about how great they are. Why would you do that? Because it's Friday and it's going to make someone's day. When you get these things unexpectedly, it really puts a smile on people's faces, and it's easy to do. So it's a habit that we get into, that we try to do at least once a week. So we either do a social shout out for somebody, where we just write a great post about somebody, promoting them and their business and how they've done it. So you wouldn't just write, Paddy's great, you should speak to her and use her. You'd need to go into more detail about, I had this problem, this person did this for me, or I recommended this person. Because if you've already introduced them to somebody else and they've fixed the problem for somebody, you know, be creative with it and go into a little bit more detail than other people would do normally, just by going, oh, I had a great meal at this restaurant, I'd recommend it. Why was it great? What was good about it? What made it different? That kind of thing. But think about, go on, Catherine.
I do this when I have a business development meeting. I write a blog about that person and then share it on LinkedIn. And then they go, oh my God, Catherine's written about me. And then they share it as well. So but it's and somebody said, we have this business development meeting, well, this one-to-one, and Catherine didn't promote herself, she promoted me, but she put that in her post. So it kind of doubles what you're doing, because they're going to share what you've said about them.
Fantastic.
And people read other people's reviews, and then most people are quite nosy. They'll then go and find out more about you and why you're saying that the other person's good. So you could write it as a LinkedIn post and tag the person in and put something about them. There's different ways that you could do it. You could do it as a LinkedIn recommendation, then screenshot it and then post it as a post and tag the other person on it as well. It might reach more people. But it's just a nice thing to do on a Friday to end the week on a high. If people, you know, because right now everyone's stuck at home, you know, we're starting to get out a little bit more, but it's not the easiest thing to do. So it's just about giving. You don't just need to do one, you could do 2 or 3 of these, but make it part of your weekly activity to do this. And then let us know if, you know, if it works and something comes of it, because people might pick up the phone and thank you, they might message you, it's an opportunity to start a conversation. And with most of the things that we do, we're about developing relationships. It's not necessarily a quick win thing. It's about building long-term relationships with the right people. So it's another thing that you can take and use on a regular basis. It doesn't take much to do other than a little bit of thought, but it's a really good thing to do, and do it for the people that you think are going to be good for you as well. And that's it. It's such an easy one today. So Dawn said we would try and wrap up for about 10:30. It's 10:29 now.
Patty, you've got your hand up then.
Can I ask a quick question? So sometimes I find like the people that I've been meeting recently are amazing in what they do, but I don't feel like I'm on the same standing as them in terms of who I can refer them to. It's like I don't feel like I know the right people that I could refer them to. Is there other ways of helping them? So from what I can give them, like I don't know multi-million-dollar businesses that I can introduce them to, and that's their target market. Yeah. But what else can I do to show that I'm giving something from my side, and not just expecting something from them?
Okay. I'll go first. So I come across quite a lot of people like that. I tend to deal with smaller businesses and solopreneurs rather than large organizations. But I come across a number of other people who work. So, for example, this week I've been chatting with a guy who does commercial finance. He's not a multi-million-pound business, but he supplies finance into large businesses.
Yes.
So I've put him in touch with somebody else who also has the same kind of clients, so that they could be referral partners rather than it being a direct referral. So I introduce people to people who have got similar kind of clients as them that they're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not necessarily to their end client. I know people who have got the same clients as the other person.
So connecting people is huge, because when that turns into something, guess what? They're going to remember who put them in touch with that person. You know, it's I'll come back to what you said, Paddy, but it's just reminding me of something else. If you're going to an event, ask someone to go with you, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's an in-person thing. Because guess what? If they meet the person that's transformational for their business in some way, they're going to be like, oh, Paddy, remember when you took me to that thing? I met Daniel and it was amazing, and now we're doing this together, and So, you know, that's another give into the relationship. Like Jamie said, all our stuff's about relationships. And if you imagine it like a bank account, you know, you've got to give in to be able to withdraw from it. So the other thing I would say in that is, with your question, Paddy, is that sometimes just asking, saying, you know, being honest, look, I don't deal with those kinds of people, but if I come across somebody else that does, I'm happy to connect you, like Jamie said. The other thing is just ask them, is there anything else I can do for you? So they might say, well, actually, you could promote this event for me. Or, you know, a previous client of mine, she was a baby photographer, and not just babies, 0 to 10 days old. That's all that she did. So we talk about niching. She niched right down, 0 to 10 days old. I mean, I think they look quite scary when they're that age, personally. But anyway, apparently, you know, the mum thing is capture the baby at 0 to 10 days old. So that's fair enough. There was a lady at her school who she met at the school gates most mornings, and she'd got younger children than my client. And she was literally referring her all the time to these expectant mothers, booking in these things. So over the course of 6 months, she got a hell of a lot of business from this lady at the school gates to my client. And she said, I just feel really bad. This lady who was doing all the referring, she didn't work. So my client had got nothing to be able to refer back to her. And she was starting to feel, as we do as women, she was starting to feel guilty and, you know, awful for taking the referrals from her. And so I just said to Claire, just ask her if there's anything that you can do for her. So she did. And guess what she said? Do you know what? I've got 3 kids. I've got no one else at home, and I get really bored of nothing but kid talk. What about if you came round every couple of weeks and we had a cup of tea and a bit of cake, and I just talked adult talk? You know, have you got time? She's like, yeah, I've got time. You know, you've sent me like 10 grand's worth of business. I'm going to make time, basically. And that's all this lady wanted. So sometimes just asking people, what is it can you do for them? How can you help them? You know, is there something you can do for them? It's just, and for me, if someone asked me that shows great things. So whether they can introduce me to my target client, or just the fact that they've bothered to ask me what they can do for me is a huge give into the relationship.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Right. Has anyone else got any other questions at all? Okay, I mean, you've got all our details anyway, and I think we're most of us connected on LinkedIn and stuff now, so please feel free to come back to us at any point. Jamie, I saw you take a deep intake of
what we'd really like is if you use some of this stuff, like, and it works, just send us a message. You know, if you're connected to us on LinkedIn, just drop us a message and let us know, because it just helps us when people get wins from the things that we do. Just makes us know that we're doing the right stuff. The other thing is, if you're interested in finding out any more about how our full Ascensive program works, Dawn's going to send an email out with a survey in it, and you can assess yourself and your current activity against our syllabus, and you might find that there's some stuff that you're absolutely amazing at, and there's some stuff that you could do with improving. And then if you're interested in finding out any more, just get in touch with Dan. He's got a course starting in the next few weeks. That's Dan up in the corner on my screen. Hopefully he'll have his full voice back by next week.
Yeah. We're doing the cohort that we've got is specifically focusing on VAs. So what you'll find from the cohort is that, because we'll be together for 10 weeks, so it's 90 minutes over 10 weeks, is that you'll build relationships with each other. And VAs, the thing what I love about VAs in particular is that you all have such different skills, and you'll actually naturally end up forming relationships with each other, and hopefully will end up potentially recommending each other if you're very different and down in those niches, like Dawn and Jamie said. So if you do want to join us, it's the first course that I will be hosting with these guys. But if you want to join us, we'd be absolutely delighted if you wanted to come on that journey with us. It's 90 minutes on Zoom over 10 weeks. So we'd love you to have us join us there as well.
Brilliant. And Daniel is a product of the product, if you like. You know, I met Dan, I don't know if I told this story on Tuesday. Daniel and I met across a crowded room of grey, boring suits. We were at a quarterly networking event that was for the financial, bods. And there were a lot of people there. It was in Wolverhampton. There's about 150 people there. And so, I walk in, I was running my family business, which is a garage at the time. And I walk, garage Barbie, all in my dress and heels. And I just see this sea of greyness in front of me. And I can literally feel the life being sucked out of me. And then I look across the room of grey suits. And what do I see? Daniel Skirmer, and our eyes lock. And we hurry towards each other. And then for the rest of the afternoon, we drink wine. And if I'm honest, take the mick out a lot of people in there, a lot of whom, no joke, fell asleep after the meeting. After the big treacle sponge pudding that they gave us for pudding, when the speaker came on, they were like nodding off, all these like big fat men in grey suits, nodding off, and we were just sipping our wine and giggling. And, Daniel was born. And
it was.
And we've been friends and worked together ever since. And what Dan said there about collaboration, we're really hot on collaboration, because we believe that if people niched enough and had the bravery is a leap in the first place, but to niche properly, there's so much work out there for those particular niches that's exactly what happens. People end up collaborating with each other, which is something that I love to see, because I believe that people coming together, the strength in numbers, having a great network around you and building those people is really where the power is at. So yeah, we'll pop you some details, and if you'd like to work with Dan and become as amazingly networked as he is, then join him. His little product of the product, and it's going to be amazing. Even if he has to sign language it out, he's going to be amazing.
But also, if you've enjoyed these two sessions, please do share. if you've enjoyed it, please share them, share the recordings, share on social media, because we'd really be grateful for you spreading the word. Michelle, hi.
Daniel, can I share it with somebody who's considering becoming a VA?
Of course, yeah.
He's still working at the moment. It was somebody that phoned out of the blue yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of we're finding as well that a lot of fully employed PAs that are working still in organisations and implanted in those organisations want to know how to become a VA, but the most daunting part of that is how do you get your client base? Where does that come from? And how do you develop those networking skills to find them? And so this is a perfect way to showcase to PAs that are working in organisations that might think, oh, I feel a bit daunted about it. And not only have I got to set up my business, but I've got to grow my business. And how do I do that 360-degree business, you know? So this is perfect for them as a really good opportunity. So please, you know, the recording's there, please share. We're happy for it to be shared and hope you are too. But yeah, it's a good opportunity for people to see. So, and we just want to say thank you so much to you all for joining us, because it's been great spending this time with you. So thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you very much,
Have a good
everyone.
weekend, everyone.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Zoom wave. Bye.